I'd like to officially welcome Jenny Reid as our guest speaker today. Let me give you a little bit of an introduction so you know where she's coming from when she does do her talk. So Jenny is a self-made success, and force behind her is IFAX, the company she's representing this morning. She knows her ability to turn challenges into solutions and is an advocate for change, integrity, and innovation. With her intense experience, Jenny garners respect and admiration from her peers, the media, and her clients. Beyond her work with IFAX, Jenny is a sought-after speaker at conferences in security, HR, and risk market globally, highlighting the importance of vetting and screening. She began her career in the security industry back in 1995 and made history as the first woman president in the Security Association of South Africa. In 2009, Jenny acquired IFAX brand and used it to help the clients mitigate risk and develop progression employee screening solutions. Taking her ideas further, she created holistic enhancement programs aimed at assisting business owners in cultivating loyal, productive, and healthy workforces. In 2018, Jenny became a partner in the 50 Plus skills platform for individuals above the age of 50 who seek work opportunities or wish to contribute back to society. Additionally, she's a master NLP coach and has created an online health and wellness platform, guiding people to become the best version of themselves with the expertise in career development, personal development, health and wellness, and retirement planning. Jenny's motto is dream it, do it, and be it. Okay, Jenny, over to you. And there we go.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And Kenny, thank you for the invitation to share. Yeah, life's been interesting. And well, you've done the introduction. Sorry, no. Okay. So I was going to say, I can tell you I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. I founded IFAX. I founded a charity organization called Adventures for Love. I'm an NLP coach. I love life completely. But what is life and what is the journey of life? So I thought today what I would do is I would share with you my journey of life and how I have used goals along the way. Sometimes they were goals and sometimes I didn't even know they were goals. But as you move forward with your goal setting, you suddenly realize where you've achieved is actually where you set goals to achieve. As I moved through life, I realized that there was a huge need to have a balance in my life, time management, and I've probably become a little bit too anal on the time management side and live my life by lists and things like that, and to regularly audit my life and look back and see where the success has been and where the failures have been. And that's what life's all about. It doesn't mean you've crashed out completely. It means maybe the choice wasn't quite right at the time and you move on. So why have goals? And I find working and talking to people, we have different outlooks on why people have goals. Some people will say, well, life happens. Why must I have a goal? I've got no control over what happens. That's normally when things aren't going the way they should be. And it's somebody else's or something else's fault. I'm a victim. And sadly, at the moment in South Africa, we're seeing a lot of it, and I'm sure it's globally as well. I'm fortunate to travel quite a bit. And people around the world at the moment are struggling. Life's not easy, but you can fall into that victim mode so quickly. And then why do you need a goal? Because whatever I do is not going to change it. I've tried, I've failed. Why must I keep trying? It's never going to work. Then you get those that tried and failed and tried again and kept on trying. And I think you know where you fit into that. And I can only encourage you to keep on trying, because sometimes you don't know you've succeeded when you actually have until you set the next goal. And then others say that only other people achieve. I'm not destined for that. Woe is me. I'm just going to be that person. But what can I say to you? If you believe you will succeed, you have to go out every day, as hard as it is, knowing you're going to succeed. So where do you start to set a goal? For me, this was a really important thing. And as I go through the story, you'll realize why. But so many people see their career as their only goal. Some people see their family as their only goal. But life is complicated. And you need to actually realize that goals have to come into all aspects of your life. So my journey of goals, I'm going to start with school. So my dad was quite an influential person in my life at school. But my dad was very, very much of the opinion that women didn't work. If you had a job, you were a secretary or a teacher or a nurse. And that was the sum total of what you could do. And every girl had to learn to type. An option was to study further. And when I'd finished matric, the thought of studying further gave me the absolute creeps. My mom was called into the school numerous times because I just refused to go to university. I didn't want to do that. The thought of it just terrified me. Not the social side or anything, but studying further. I just really didn't want to do that. And what did I really wanted to do? I wanted to travel. Travel for me was a big thing. And we found a course. So study was out. We found a course that I could do a secretarial element of and become a travel agent. So I ticked 2 boxes. Dad was happy I was going to learn to type and do shorthand, and I was happy because I was going to travel. So, right, we moved on. And the travel industry didn't work for me because only the top dogs get all the fancy perks and get the free trips to all that. When you're starting in that industry, you get no perks and are badly paid. So that goal was a little bit challenged. So I did take my PA skills that I had learned, and I went into that because I could earn enough money and take 3 weeks unpaid leave every year and travel for 6 weeks of the year. So I was earning money, I was traveling, and that was great. And I became quite a good PA. I was PA to the MD of Castrol Oil in those days, was quite a big company at 21. And I was headhunted at 25 to go work at the Chamber of Mines. And so I was doing quite nicely and traveling every year. So life was good. And then I fell pregnant, had a baby, got married, fell pregnant, all those sort of things. And we had a family. So now goals become a little bit more real because it's not just about you. It's about what you're going to do with these other people that are in your life. So obviously you want to bring up a child, you want to bring up a child successfully and in a good, healthy environment and provide for them financially. You still want to live a good life. Social life for us was always a big element of what we did. And then the financial element was no longer just about going on holiday and traveling. We now had a bond to pay. And it's interesting when I look at what things became important, not that the others weren't, but for me, the bond had to be paid, the rates and taxes had to be paid, and our medical aid had to be paid. Groceries never sort of featured. We ate what we could, where we could, how we could, and that kind of thing. But those expenses, if they were not being paid, I was in a panic. So at that stage, I didn't see that as a goal. I didn't have smart goals and a plan to make it happen, but I knew deep down inside that that was what we had to do. And life happens. And, as your life happens, your priorities change. So you need to start understanding that things are different. And as I say, the financial goals, we then had a second child, and my husband opened his own business. And that for me became an extremely, extremely stressful situation, because I was trying to do the full-time mom thing, because Dad was still sitting on my shoulder, scratching to see where I was and what I was doing. When we had only the one child, Brad, he said to me, "You can't go back to work. Come and work for me mornings only, and you can bring the baby with you, because this is what you can't go back to work with children." So I did that, and sadly, his goals didn't turn out too well, and he committed suicide. So now I was left without a job, with a baby, a husband. Then the second baby came along, and a husband starting a business. Needless to say, and I'm sure many of you here have started your own businesses, you understand the stress of not meeting those financial expectations at the end of every month. It's really not, it puts you in a terrible situation. It puts a huge strain on the relationship, and goals go out the window completely. So you need to relook at it. I then decided to go back to work full time and resorted everything at home, got a good job as a PA, had a lady at home who looked after the children. Everybody was sorted, and slowly we were getting on track. Oh dear. The maid came home from the hospital pregnant with a big red sticker on her file. Now we're talking in the early 90s. I don't understand what it means, but they've put me in a different group because my file says positive. That was the good old days of AIDS, when nobody knew much about it. The hospitals were not supportive, and our lives were turned upside down, because our doctor said to us, under no circumstances is this lady looking after these two young children. We don't know enough about the disease, and we're not taking the risk. At that stage, I was working for a guy who was absolutely awful. He used to call me into the office. He'd say, "Bring tissues with you, because I'm going to make you cry." And he was just the most awful, awful man. So in a way, when this whole calamity happened, walking out and saying, "Cheers, I'm going to sort my family out," was not a difficult thing to do. But you can imagine the financial impact now. I've gone back to work full time and everything. So that was another area in our lives where we had to just relook at the whole thing. And my mom came and said she'd give us financial support. So please, I must stay at home with the kids. I mean, she had my dad for all those years telling her this is the way life goes. And I said no. And I think at that point, my biggest goal was to maintain my independence whilst getting everything in line and moving forward. So I then joined a company. I found quite a nice job. And I started with a company called Security Service Consultants. I was a mornings only PA, and it was an investigations company. It was actually quite interesting and probably suited my personality quite well, because I naturally want to know what's going on wherever I can find out what's going on. And financially, things were tough. I took on a second job. We used to do undercover agents, which people are quite shocked that I was involved in that, debriefing and working with those guys. But what I used to do then was, we used to get their reports on a Friday, is I would then work on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night from 2 in the morning till 6, writing the reports, so that financially we would still be okay. And then I would work till 2, have some time with the kids, and balance all those kind of things. I have no regrets about the hours I worked and what we did, because I think it helped us get on our feet. My husband's business started to grow, And I actually became MD of the company and eventually bought in, and we were 50%, and that was Griffiths Reid. So I'm very grateful to the partner I had at the time. He enabled me to grow. It was with them that I got involved with the Security Association and how I learned what running a business was all about. But in 2009, I got to the point where he'd stopped working. And his wife, with all due respect to everybody, had this attitude she was entitled to a business owner's wife's life. The children had to go to fancy private schools, regardless of whether the business could afford it or not. And I just said, I don't need to be doing this, because she just kept wanting more and more and more. I fired her 3 times. She kept trying to work in the business and it didn't work. But every time she left, he would say, that's fine, she can go, but I need the money she was earning. So, and we had an agreement that whatever he earned, I earned, but it wasn't a sustainable business model, because he just was upping the expenses continuously to maintain this lifestyle. And in 2009, I took a huge leap of faith and I said, I'm going on my own. And that was when my husband had daylight security systems. We were still wanted to socialize, be independent. We still wanted to travel. Obviously, the financial element was there. Doing something with the family was important. And one of the things that I had done with the family when we were both in the business, Neil had his business and I had mine, is because we worked such long hours, I insisted that every school holiday we did something with the kids. Whether it was a weekend in the Drakensberg, a couple of days in the Kruger Park, a week or so at the coast, it was something I insisted that we did. And eventually we were able to take them on an overseas trip. So all of these things had developed with our lives. And going on my own, I certainly did not want to be going down. I wanted to be able to maintain and have the lifestyle that we had. At this point, unfortunately, the stress did start to take its toll. And I had 2 TIAs. I don't know if anybody knows. It's like a mini stroke. At one stage, I was off work for 6 weeks. And I realized then that I had to take responsibility for my health. And that now, all of a sudden, had to become a goal. And it was the first time that I realized that this was something that I had to focus on. So suddenly, and I was never an exercise freak. I'm still not, but I mean, I do things. And I had to relook. I used to drink 20 to 30 cups of tea a day. I mean, the amount of caffeine you're putting into your body. I had to relook at that. I had to look, and I still haven't got this right, but everybody goes on about meditating. And I'm not good at that because my brain doesn't switch off too easily. So you had to find different things to do. And I read a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. It goes back some years. And I made it a goal to read a page of that every day. And it was easy to read. It wasn't chapters or anything like that. It was just something like when somebody cuts in front of you in the traffic, wave at them. It's hard, I know, when you're rushing and that taxi comes screeching in. The last thing you want to do is smile and wave. But and it was little things like that that I had to change my physical health. So suddenly I was not doing push-ups and I was not doing anything like that. But walking became a very real thing. I'd always had a weight problem and that, so eating healthily became more realistic. And it was just little things that I had to put in place, and I did. And when your health is compromised, it's incredible how your mind takes over, because everything else, all your other goals, can collapse if those are not absolutely there. But being the person I wasn't going to stop setting goals. So now more goals led to more stress, which led to self-criticism. And I think in a way, it's almost like the valley of change, Kenny, that you're talking about here, because you start to beat yourself up because you've got to get somewhere. You've got to do something. So the wheel of life, I must have read this. I mean, when we moved out of our house in Edenvale, I now live at Hartbeespoort Dam. I'll never forget a friend of mine's husband coming, and we helped we helped develop a library in Cosmo City. And Stuart came with the trailer to help us take the books. He said, "My God, I have never seen anybody with as many self-help books in my life as you have." And I was always searching for something more to do, more to achieve, and more to look at. But one of the things that I did find was the wheel of life. And it's incredible. You can Google it, you can find it, and it's an easy exercise to do. But there's a set of questions that go with this, where you land up with a score. And as you can see, obviously, you want to have 10 out of 10 with everything. It's not possible. You're not going to get there. But maybe, and I think, Megan, it was you who said exercise is not really a big thing for you. So from a health point of view, you're not wanting 10 out of 10 there, but you don't have to beat yourself up about the exercise. Just keep moving, eat better. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to get to 10, but you suddenly realize the areas in your life that you are not paying attention to, and the areas in your life that you need to work on. Should I allow this person to enter, Kenny? Martin Juan.
Don't worry, I'll let him in already.
Okay, thanks. So this became a very important aspect in my life, and this was where I probably started setting actual goals. That up until this point in time, I'd just been tick boxing, trying to achieve, trying to balance, try and keep things going and that sort of thing. But I now needed to work out how to do it. So all these things were becoming now goals. What more can I achieve? What else must I do? And I did. I drove myself into a frenzy. And the sad thing was, at some stage of doing one of these life audits, I realized that I wasn't always doing it nicely. And that then became a goal, was to do it more nicely, because I'd really been pushing so hard to achieve, balance everybody, keep everybody happy, do all of that, that I was putting too much pressure on myself, and it was affecting me quite badly. So I wanted to be, and I think we all sit there wanting to be these perfect people. You have these goals, you want them all to happen, but is it realistic at that point in your life? And that is a big part of what we've got to look at with goals. Is, I'm not saying don't make it a goal, but make it a realistic and achievable goal, which is what we talk about with the SMART goals. But are you doing it nicely? And it's one of the things that with the NLP coaching, I'm sure you guys talk about it as well, is it good for you and the rest of the world? It can't only be good for you. So I hit 40. And I don't know why, but there's something about decade birthdays for me. And now I suddenly felt like I'd achieved nothing. And people look at me when I say that as if I've gone crazy. But this is what I was judging myself against. My dad had made the Olympic hockey squad. He never actually, sorry, I see the spelling mistake. He never played in the Olympics because he broke his ankle. My mom had played international softball. My brother, from the age of 8, had played international baseball. My husband had played provincial sport, and so had my kids. What had I achieved in life? And so I now had the pity party. But I wasn't going to sit there in the pity party because that was a bit boring and I really wasn't going to achieve anything. So I realized I could walk. I couldn't do any of these other fancy exercise things, but I could walk. So I decided I was going to climb Killy. And that became a goal for me. So my business, sorry, I did jump a little bit there. My business partner at the time, I was still working with him. He said, no, I'm going to come with you. I have to come with you because he was terrified I was going to do anything without him. So I said, okay, then let's go. And he broke his ankle on holiday in the December, and I wanted to go in the February because I was only going to climb at a time when there was the least expectation of rain. I didn't want to walk in the rain. I didn't mind the snow, but not the rain. And so that was my possibility, my goal gone. And I thought, oh, gee, I don't know if I would do it on my own. And a year or two later, a friend of mine phoned me. She said, Jen, are you still keen to climb Killy? I said, I've always been keen. She said, there's 2 of us girls, we're going to do it with you. I said, cool, that's fine. I said, there's one condition. They were away on holiday in December. I said, when you come back from holiday, we go and we book and we pay. Because I'm not going to build myself up again. She said, cool. Her other friend pulled out and it was the 2 of us. And we did. When I was 42, we climbed Killy, which was, for me, it was a huge thing at the time. And from an exercise point of view, that for me was really putting myself out there way beyond what I would normally have done. But then a new bug bit, and I now wanted to do this adventure walking. So with a group of girls, we did the Great Wall of China, Machu Picchu, and then we canoed the 100 Ks of the Lower Zambezi. And I think when I look back now with those hippos and crocodiles, that was probably crazy, but we had an absolute ball and it was great fun. And then we did one of the peaks in the Himalayan mountains just below base camp. We didn't go as high as base camp, but we did that. And then when we did the Walk of China, we had to raise money for a charity. It was part of our entry fee. And so doing all these other things, we started doing little bits and pieces. And then we realized that should this just be about me? So we formed a group of girls. We had to have a team name and we called it Adventures for Love. And slowly that has grown now into a registered nonprofit organization. And we do some really, really cool things. Some of us do it, have been fortunate to go overseas and do adventures and that there. But we do quite a lot of charity work as well. We've just come back. We raised money to move to Rhino from one reserve to another. And we worked with the people. And it was absolutely great. And if I look back on my bucket list from many, many years ago, there was always something to form a charity company. So in the back of my mind, that was a goal set. And there's now 17 of us girls around the country that are involved with Adventures for Love and have an absolute ball. Coming back to 2009, there was a bit of a long story in between that gap. I then decided to jump out and go on my own. It was like quite a serious divorce from my business partner. He was not happy about it at all. And it actually got quite nasty. We had to get lawyers involved and threatening, and I actually threatened to liquidate him because he wouldn't give me anything from the business. So we agreed to settle, and IFAX was a very small division of of Griffiths Reid at the time. And I agreed that I would take that and I'd leave him the full investigations business. We did split equally, and financially out, we were 50-50. But from a business point of view, he didn't want me playing in the space he was in. So that was fine. And we then moved out into IFACTS in 2009. And that was when Sonia and I got quite close. She was looking for a change in business. And so she came along. I did have a goal, and it's still something that sits very close to my heart, but it's never really worked, is the alternate health and the health and wellness industry for employees. It is such a tick box process for people, and it just makes me so sad because I think there's such a need for it. So when I went on my own, Sonia joined me and she was going to grow the health business, and IFACTS was paying the bills. So that was what happened. But then we realized that IFACTS was growing, and really, where do you focus your attention? On where your heart is or where the money's coming from? So we grew the business together, and Sonia was an absolute dream because shortly after that, in the January of 2010, I think it was, or 2011, I fell off a quad bike and had quite a severe brain injury. And poor old Sonia had just been thrown into the business. She had no idea what was going on, and I went crazy. I mean, Sonia's husband said we should claim points for for the business being disabled because I was that crazy. But she stuck with me, and together we have grown the business. How we did it, everything. And again, at that stage, probably wasn't proper goals in place. But what were the goals? That we could cover our bills, that we could actually. And then slowly we started to grow and employ people and look at who we were and what we could do. And I must be honest, the day in the life of an entrepreneur can drive you crazy. You never, ever know. But all I can say is if you believe in yourself and have the goals, it is all going to happen. But make sure you stick to what you know and do it properly. And when you're down, get somebody close to you to pull you up. 2020 arrived, and oh dear, here came a new health challenge. I was diagnosed with quite an aggressive form of breast cancer. And a few days later, we got COVID. And I must say, I believe God knew He couldn't put me through two isolation incidents. So He slapped them together for me. And my first day of chemotherapy was the first day of lockdown in South Africa. Sonia again stood by me completely, absolutely, truly and completely, and helped me get through all of this. And we had COVID budget 1, COVID budget 2, COVID budget 3, and eventually we just said there's no budget left anymore. We don't know what to do, but we're going to get there. And we did. And yeah, in the October of 2020, I was cancer-free, and we were coming out of COVID. And 2021 just became a completely different year. And then for me, I now needed to understand where I was going. And succession planning was becoming a very real thing. My fear at this point was that Sonia had nobody with any depth beneath her. And so whilst I had a succession plan in Sonia, Sonia didn't have a succession plan with anybody else. And at this point, Kenny entered our lives and helped us to build and work this out, which has been an absolutely amazing journey working with Kenny. I haven't worked directly with Kenny, but Sonia has, and I've been aligned to the process. So suddenly your life changes. You work on a succession plan in the business, but where does that leave you? Where you going in life? So suddenly I have had to reassess goals and decisions again in life. So this is the journey of goals and how it goes. As you know, I've always loved the travel and everything like that. So we were on a cruise a couple of years ago, and MSC were launching a world cruise. And I said, gee, that must be a dream to do. And now we had our succession planning happening. And I thought, why not make this world cruise happen? So we went along and had a look at our financial planning and what we'd done with those goals we'd set long ago, where we just paid the bond and the rates and everything. And slowly over time, with reassessing them, as I say, the life audits and all that, we were able to take the money. And in January this year, we did a 4-month cruise around the world, which was one of the most amazing, amazing opportunities in life. And I'll be eternally grateful that we were able to do it. Some people thought we were absolutely crazy. How can you sit on a ship for 4 months? I can assure you we didn't sit on a ship for 4 months. We got off at all these different ports, but it was just an absolutely amazing experience. So there, the travel goals and the financial goals all started to align into bringing a beautiful dream into reality. And this year I turned 60, and this year has just been the most amazing year. Sonia's taken over as CEO of the business. I've graciously been given the title of founder. Don't think we could find any other appropriate word. I'm still involved from a sort of a more strategic role, but not involved on the day-to-day side of the business at all. And yeah, so we've grown. This is just how we've grown. When we started IFACT in 2009, a check is anything from a criminal record check, a credit check, and we were doing 2,200 checks per month and turning over 30,000 Rand per month. This year, we're doing 30,000 checks per month and turning over 1.3 million Rand a month. So I think somewhere along the line, the goals have worked in the company growth, the succession planning, and how we've moved on. And with Kenny working with so closely to the team, I could only see this growing even further and further and that. So I say I'm blessed beyond measure in my life, but I know, and something working through 50 plus, which, as Kenny explained, is a company I've got a small shareholding in. One of the things that happens to people when they retire, get to a certain stage in life, they lose their purpose, their sense of purpose. And it's something I'm very, very conscious of. I'm working through quite a few different things at the moment. I can't say to you I have a proper plan, which is unusual for me from where I've come through over the last number of years. But I'm consciously working on it. And I know that it will emerge and it will happen and it will come. And I'm in a fortunate position that I'm able to work through it at a pace that I am working at it. So yeah, I am busy. I don't know, half the time I wonder what I'm doing, but I seem to be dashing around all over the place. I am spending more time on my hobbies. My friends think I'm a bit crazy, that I want to go back to sewing and trying to learn to play the piano. They do mock me quite a lot. I am exercising a bit more regularly, and I live in an environment where it's easy to walk, and we've got Pilates and all sorts of things around here, so I'm able to do it more easily. Obviously, I think financial goals become even more important at this stage in your life. Not that they shouldn't have been earlier, but sometimes you don't focus on them because it's just covering the costs as opposed to looking after yourself going forward. I very definitely have health goals, and I'm very aware of what can go wrong if I don't. I've unfortunately been in that position a few times, but I'm on top of that. I have social goals. I make a plan to come into Joburg at least twice a month and see my mates. Their husbands probably think, oh God, Jenny's back in town. I definitely have community goals. Through Adventures for Love, we're always doing different things and helping people, animals, whatever. Yeah, I do have spiritual goals. And every year, funnily enough, I haul out my bucket list, and I've still got items that aren't highlighted. I've still got the handwritten one from many, many, many years ago. And I do look at what I've achieved, not only on a bucket list point of view, but from a personal point of view in life and a business point of view. And again, the wheel of life. And I take time to sit and go through it and think about, I don't see it as New Year's resolutions, but I think about where would I like to focus my time, my energy in the year going forward. So will I find some new things to do? Absolutely. And that frightens a few people. I can see Sonia rolling her eyes. But yeah, I will definitely find some new things to do, and I will keep on expanding, growing, and looking for different things. I think goals give you structure, motivation, and clarity, but they also help you to use your time wisely, grow in different directions, because when we are bogged down in life, you can become so single vision that you actually lose focus of the bigger world. And when you sit back and reflect, it gives you a sense of achievement, which we all want. We all want to know we've done well. So thank you for listening to my story. I'm 5 minutes short. So if anybody wants ask any questions, you're welcome to. I'll stop sharing, Kenny.
Thank you, Jenny. Amazing. Thanks for the couple of drops of hints in there. But yes, it was such an amazing journey. And I think just sharing that with people and goals, and so that they know goals work. Even regardless of how you may put them together, they do work. Any questions? Anybody want to ask any questions to Jen? No? Did she blow you away or just stand you all into shock? I think for me, one of the challenges I see from the outside looking in is you went through lots of curveballs. And you're going back to what you and your husband decided you wanted to do with your lives right in the beginning is what's kept you on track, which has helped you get to where you want to get. And that's the important thing of goals, because I'm sure at some stages in your life you thought, those goals are forget it. They're just nonsense. They're just dreams. They'll never happen. But yeah, you're still achieving them. Thank you so much, Jenny. It was absolutely awesome to hear your story. And I think, yeah, inspire a lot of us to do a lot more.
Thank you, Kenny.
Awesome. Do you guys want to have a quick body break and then we can go into our breakout rooms from there to start getting on the calls? Yeah.